Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Cosmic Origins, the podcast where we dive into the stories that shaped our universe, our world, and ourselves. I'm your host, and today we're rolling back the cosmic clock to the 19th century. Buckle up, because this one's a ride. All right, here's the question of the day. What do you get when you mix intense Bible study, apocalyptic fever, and one of history's most awkward no-shows? You get 1844, the year thousands of people stared at the sky and wondered, is it Judgment Day, or did we just blow this big time? But before you pull out the popcorn for this historical fail, let me stop you. This isn't just about wrong dates and dashed hopes. It's a story of context, of people seeking truth during one of history's most turbulent times, and a prophecy that's way deeper than you think. Let's start with the main man, William Miller, farmer by trade, preacher by passion, and part-time prophecy detective. Miller wasn't some random end-of-the-world enthusiast shouting from the rooftops. He was a deeply thoughtful man who loved math, logic, and the Bible. Now, Miller wasn't predicting 1844 because it sounded cool. He got there by studying the 2300-day prophecy in Daniel 8:14, which says, "Unto 2300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed." Sounds intense, right? Miller believed these weren't literal days, but prophetic years, starting in 457 BC. And after crunching the numbers, probably using the ancient equivalent of Excel, he landed on 1844. Now let's shift gears briefly to Ellen Harmon, later Ellen White. At this point, she's just a teenager in Maine, battling health challenges and trying to figure out life. Little does she know she's about to play a key role in what's to come. But for now, she's one of thousands inspired by Miller's message of hope. So, fast forward to October 22nd, 1844. People are gathered on hills, in churches, and in their homes. They're excited. They've sold their possessions, warned their neighbors, and are ready for Jesus to show up. And then, nothing. Awkward, right? People called it the Great Disappointment, which might just be the understatement of the century. Imagine waiting all day for an Amazon package, only to realize it's not coming. Except the package is Jesus. But here's the twist. This wasn't a false prophecy. A false prophecy is when someone claims, "God told me this," and it flat out doesn't happen. What happened here was a misinterpretation. Miller's math wasn't the problem. His assumption about what the sanctuary cleansing meant. That's where things went off course. The sanctuary in Daniel 8:14 wasn't referring to Earth. It pointed to a heavenly event, the start of Christ's ministry in the most holy place of the heavenly sanctuary. Think of it as a celestial courtroom where big things are happening behind the scenes. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. The early 1800s weren't just spiritually charged, they were a time of political and social upheaval. The Second Great Awakening had people rethinking their faith, and revolutions were reshaping entire nations. Take France, for example. In 1798, Napoleon's general marched into Rome, arrested Pope Pius VI, and declared the Papal States over. For many, this marked the symbolic end of over 1,200 years of papal dominance, a period often referred to as the Dark Ages. And what about the United States? Here, the Constitution and Bill of Rights were redefining religious liberty. No more state-sponsored persecutions or forced religious conformity. For the first time in centuries, the sanctuary, the church, was being cleansed of political corruption and oppression. Miller wasn't crazy for thinking the world was on the brink of something monumental. He was right, just not in the way he expected. And then there was the cultural backdrop. The Industrial Revolution was changing everything. Steam engines, railroads, and the printing press were spreading ideas faster than ever. People had access to the Bible in their own languages, fueling a renewed interest in prophecy. It was a world on the edge of transformation. All right, people, this one's going to blow your mind. Before we wrap up, let's talk about one more epic thing that happened in 1844. This wasn't another awkward moment like waiting for Jesus to show up. This changed history. It all started with Samuel Morse and a wire. Picture this. May 24th, 1844. Samuel Morse, inventor and low-key genius, is testing a brand new invention, the telegraph. People were skeptical. Messages through wires? Yeah, right. But Morse wasn't messing around. He sent the first ever message 40 miles from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. And that message? What hath God wrought? Not just a test, a statement. In that moment, the world shifted. Communication, which used to rely on horses and shouts, could now travel instantly. Knowledge, ideas, and yes, even the gospel, could spread like wildfire. This was the birth of the information age, and it started with one wire. Think about it. In that moment, Morse didn't just send a message. He opened the floodgates to the information age. For thousands of years, the speed of communication was limited to how fast a horse could run or how far someone could shout. But now, messages could travel faster than ever before. Knowledge, ideas, and yes, even the gospel could spread like wildfire. This was humanity's first step into a connected world, and it all started with a single wire. Fast forward to today, and look where we are. The telegraph led to the telephone, which led to the internet, which led to the very device you're holding in your hand right now. That text message you just sent, that TikTok video you scrolled past, it's all built on the foundation of what hath God wrought. Even this video you're watching, created with artificial intelligence, is a direct result of the moment Samuel Morse tapped that message into history. But here's where it gets deep. 1844 wasn't just about technological breakthroughs. It marked the beginning of Christ's final work in heaven, often referred to as the Investigative Judgement. Think about it. In an age where information travels at lightning speed, doesn't that make God's judgment even more profound? He can be perfectly just and merciful because the truth is available to everyone. No secrets, no excuses. If you've got a smartphone, you have access to the Bible, to answers, to knowledge that people in the Dark Ages could only dream of. The playing field is level. You, me, everyone has the tools to seek truth, to question, to learn, and to grow. And it all started with a single question, and now we know what God hath wrought. That's all, folks. See you next time on the next episode of Cosmic Origins.